All right. Hello. Good morning, good evening, and good night. I hope you guys are doing absolutely fantastic because today I want to talk to you guys about these tariffs, how it's affecting the market, what we're currently seeing within the past week because we've seen some insane volatility. I want to talk about the volatility. I want to talk about the tariffs. I want to talk about plans for the future. And I want to talk about 2025, what I see for us dividend investors, stockholders for 2025, because I definitely think we're in for a bit of a rocky road. Already to the start of the year, we're down about 13, almost 14%. So we're touching on recession territory for sure. I want to talk about what I see for the future, why I think up until Wednesday, April 9th is a very important date, and I'll keep you guys posted day by day on that. What I want to talk about as well is YieldMax ETFs, because we cannot forget, Honorable Investing, we are a high yield dividend ETF channel. Of course, we're looking for capital appreciation plays like SPXL, but mainly we invest in YieldMax ETFs, as you can tell by my portfolio. So what I want to talk about is what we're seeing with YieldMax ETFs, popular ones like PayPal. For example, we have MSTY, MSTR. We also have NVDY. I just want to touch on what we're seeing because I'm seeing a little bit of a discrepancy between the YieldMax ETF, for example, NFLY up 4.6% today, whereas the underlying stock up only 1.4%. So why are we seeing these huge discrepancies within YieldMax? Let's touch on that today. So if you guys do at any point enjoy this video, or if you want to subscribe, we're up to 7,762 subscribers. That's how many we're at so far. We're gaining more subscribers slowly, 115 subscribers in the past 28 days. I'm doing my best to stay consistent with these videos. I didn't upload one over the weekend, but of course with the volatility today, it's absolutely necessary that I do. So just to kind of give a brief overview, my portfolio is actually down about 17%. 17%. See, the overall market's down about 14% in the past year, and we're down 17, almost 18%. This is a huge hit, but I'm doing my best to remain calm. And you know what? You guys should remain calm too. It's all about your preparation. Understand that the more that the market goes down, the more people are going to want to sell. And today, when you first look at the S&P 500, you're looking, okay, we had a little bit more of a stable day, only down 0.23%. That is absolutely not true. The market first started by trending down about 4% today and then trending to the upside about 2%. That's about a 6 or 7% difference that we've seen in the market. You're talking year to year, the market generally trends up about 7%, while the overall S&P 500 index did 7% change within the day. That's a huge day. Now, of course, we could talk about other things, but that's enough on the market. What I want to talk about right now is tariffs and what this means. Trump mentioned in an interview, I think it was either today or yesterday, sometimes you have to take the medicine to fix something being the problem. And the tariffs are apparently his form of medicine. Now, I'm not saying I necessarily agree with the tariffs. I'm not saying I'm against them. But what I am saying is they're having a huge effect on the market. And that's something that we've obviously seen. And the reason why I say April 9th, in 2 days, Wednesday is a big day, is because that's when these tariffs are said to go into effect. And what I'm talking about is I'm talking about the potential 34% on China and all those big tariffs that were announced in Trump's chart, where it affects more than 50 countries. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that the baseline 10% of tariffs on most countries is already in effect. That went into effect, I'm pretty sure, on Saturday. So 10% tariffs on most countries is already in effect, and more tariffs to come on Wednesday. Pardon me. A lot of talking today. Had a crazy day as well. One thing is there was a new threat because China came back and announced reciprocal tariffs on the United States. So Donald Trump once again hit back with another 50% tariff on China. So what's going on? What do I see? I see a lot of volatility. And of course, that's kind of prevalent. But one thing to keep in mind, these tariffs were used as almost like a fear tactic. But one thing is a lot of these other companies, of course, trying to make negotiations, but big countries like China are coming back with tariffs of their own. This is a problem because if an agreement is not reached, that means these tariffs will go into effect, and that means we will likely see a recession in the stock market. This is my opinion. And of course, tariffs are not, they will eventually be passed down to consumers, so it's really a tax on the consumer. And if all these tariffs get imposed, the world, I do think, will go into a recession. Of course, a lot of Trumpanies, too much about Trump nowadays. A lot of companies, or countries, countries are looking for negotiations. But if negotiations aren't able to be met, which I don't think a lot of them are based on these aggressive measures taken by China and other companies, I don't think a lot of negotiations are going to be met. I do think tariffs will be in place, and I do think reciprocal tariffs will be in place, and I do think that means more downside for the market. Of course, it's a bearish outlook, but that's what I feel is going to happen. And what does this mean for my own personal portfolio and likely your portfolios? It means brace for more impact. It means build more cash. I'm currently down about $900 Canadian, or about $600 USD in terms of my cash, because I'm using a bit of margin debt. Now, it's extremely important to be aware of how much margin you have, because currently it looks like I have about, we go to combined USD, about $13,000 worth of margin. But each day as my portfolio drops down, I'm able to use less and less margin. So this buying power is getting smaller. So it's very important to note. And it's important because I'm looking to buy income producing assets like YieldMax ETFs. But YieldMax ETFs, like everything else, have been very volatile. One thing to note is that because YieldMax, they look to track an underlying stock like NFLY looks to track Netflix, they might not exactly correlate. And with these huge days in terms of volatility, we're going to see YieldMax ETFs not exactly correlating to their underlying stocks. Example being NFLY up 4.6%, whereas the underlying up 1.4%. We have as well PYPY down 0.5%, where PayPal is actually up 0.27%. So there's a huge discrepancy there. As well, you have MSTY down about 6.74%, MSTR up 8.67%. So one thing to keep in mind, out of all this craziness, just know things might potentially get worse. It's important to stock your cash up in your portfolio and keep track of your goals. I do have this dividend tracker. It's not yet able to be released. It's not fully done, but I'm looking to get that out by next week. Somewhere around April 15th is the day I want to drop this dividend tracker, because it's so important to set your own goals when you want to buy your stocks, have markers in place so you don't make irrational decisions. Just know going forward, YieldMax ETFs are going to fluctuate. They're not going to be exactly the same as their underlying due to so much volatility within the market, and expect that. But keep your eye on ones that you want to potentially buy and save your cash. Cash is going to be so important going forward, and it's important to have a long-term outlook, because we don't know, even honorable investing, we don't know how far these tariffs are going to go and how long they're going to last. So prepare yourselves, prepare your portfolios, and brace for the future. That's kind of my message right now. We're currently up to 7,762 subscribers. Once again, prepare yourselves. If you prepare yourselves, you have a plan, there's not much in order to fear. Fear will come from a lack of action and preparation. So do your best to build your cash, be ready, and take this as an opportunity. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you got value, click that like button and subscribe, and I hope to see you guys in the next